Today we will start with the second Kirchhoff's law, and this law is very important. Yesterday I told you that the major significance of these laws is to solve the complex circuits. Now the second law, which is called as the Kirchhoff's voltage law or KVL or Kirchhoff's mesh rule or Kirchhoff's loop rule. This is applicable for a closed loop. You can mark this closed loop. It should not be an open loop, right? For a closed loop, the sum of EMF in the loop, the total sum of EMF in the loop is equal to the total sum of product of current and resistances in the individual branches. This is current and resistance in the individual branches. Their sum is equal to the total EMF of the loop. Okay, total EMF of the loop. Or in other words, you can write like this also, that sum of the change in potential is equal to 0. The reason is because if suppose you start from A, then you are going to B, then C, you are coming back again to A. If you finally reach at the point A again, then A have a single value of potential. So the potential difference will be 0. What I am not saying is that A and B, they are there.
आवाज नहीं आ रही, शायद म्यूट हो गया.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है?
Yes sir.
Okay.
Yes sir.
अच्छा ठीक है. All right. चलिए. Again repeating, right? So this is Kirchhoff's voltage law, and it is applicable on a closed loop. Can you hear now? Can you hear?
Yes sir.
Okay.
Yes sir.
All right. So for any closed loop, what this law says is the sum of EMF, the total EMF of a loop is equal to the sum of the product of current and resistances in the individual branches. The product of IR, all the IR means IR of this branch, this branch, this branch. If I am taking the loop as A, B, C, A, if I am taking this closed loop A, B, C, A, then this IR plus this IR plus this IR should be equal to the sum of total, it should be equal to the total EMF. Means you have two EMFs, so that sum should be equal to the product of the individual IRs. This is your Kirchhoff's voltage law. In other words, it can be stated this way also, the sum of change in potential is equal to 0. The reason is because suppose you take the loop A, B, C, A, then suppose you start from point A, then you go to B, then C, and then you again comes back to the point A. So you started from point A, finally reaches at point A. So the potential difference plus the potential difference plus the potential difference. Since your initial and final points are same, so that total change in potential must be 0 because you started from A and reached back on the same point. Okay, so this is your Kirchhoff's voltage law, also called as KVL. We also, in short, we write KVL or Kirchhoff's mesh rule, MESH. Mesh means something like a net. It's like or Kirchhoff's loop rule, LOOP, loop rule. This is your Kirchhoff's voltage law statement. Now, how to apply this voltage law in the circuit? That you have to, just a simple step, but you will have to understand it very clearly. What you have to do is, you suppose I am given this loop A, B, C, A. Suppose I have this loop. Okay. One thing I already told you, that in case your current touches the negative plate of the cell first, then you will take the EMF of the cell as a positive EMF. And if it touches the positive plate first, then you will take it as negative plate. Okay, I will come to that again. Now what you have to do is select any direction as the positive direction. Suppose clockwise or anti-clockwise inside the loop. Suppose I am taking this direction as the positive direction. So first step is, I am writing the step. First step is note the direction. Note means this is your choice. Note the positive direction is this is your choice. You can take positive, you can take clockwise direction also as positive direction. That is your choice. You just identify. But what you have to do is, if you are taking anti-clockwise direction as the positive direction here, then for any kind of calculation, you will have to always take the anti-clockwise direction as the positive direction. Means it has to be unique. It should not be like this, that for one equation you are taking this as positive direction and for other one you take the opposite one. What you have, you choose a direction but keep it constant, then you don't change the direction. So here I have taken the anti-clockwise direction as the positive direction. Now you start from any point and start marking the electric current. Suppose I start from here. Let us suppose that this is I1. Okay. Then here it divides and it is I2. This is I3. Okay. And then it comes like this. So I3, there is no division. So same I3 will go through this R4 also. I2 reaches here, and here you get, suppose you can take I4, I5 you can take. This is your choice. You can mark in other ways also. Suppose I simply mark like this. If suppose I simply mark this way, this is your choice, means whatever you want to mark. I1, then division I2, since here R5, I can take I5, okay, here R4, so, but it will remain same, I5, okay, or you can write like this also. In other words, you can mark this way also. Means there are several methods, whatever you want to use. This is I1, this is I2, you can write I1 minus I2 here. Suppose I2 goes here, then I1 minus I2 will come here. Here this will be I1 minus I2 because there is no division taking place. Now here I1 minus I2 plus I2. So this will be I1 again. Means this is your choice. But what you need to do is you try to keep your number of variables as minimum as possible. Okay. So this way, now how many variables, current variables I have? I1, I2. Only two variables. In case if suppose I mark I1, I2, I3, and then I4, then I will have four variables. So I will need four equations to solve them. Here now I need only two equations to solve the current. So what we do, we try to minimize the number of variables in the circuit. So this way I have marked. So second point is mark currents. Mark the currents. Simple steps I am writing. So first step is identify the positive direction. Second step is you mark the currents. Now the third step is you apply this rule. Now what you have to do is, suppose if your condition is this one, then the EMF is positive EMF, means current is coming and hits the negative plate first. If it firstly hits the negative plate, then the EMF will be positive. And if it is like this, hitting the positive plate first, then you take it as negative EMF. Okay? Alright, so this is your third step. Now, I will apply the Kirchhoff's second law in this loop. So this way I have marked. Now in this loop, you can see here that this current will hit the negative plate first. So EMF 1 is positive EMF. And here the current is hitting the positive plate first. So I will take minus EMF 2. This is my total EMF. And it should be equal to the sum of product of current and resistances in the individual branches. This is my one branch, second branch, third branch. So this is my I1 R1. I1 R1, then I2 R3, and then I1 R2. Now what you have to do is, what sign you should place, positive or negative. Now all the currents which are following your positive direction in the loop, in this loop, the currents which are following your positive direction, they will be taken as positive currents, and those who are not, there will be the negative currents. So now I1 is following the direction, coming anti-clockwise, okay? Then I2 is again following the direction, I1 is again following the direction. So they are all positive currents. So this will be I1 R1 plus I2 R3 plus I1 R2. This is your equation in the loop A, B, C, A. Now for the loop A, C, D, A. In this loop, now again I take suppose this direction as the positive direction, right? Now first of all EMF, only one EMF I have, and what is the direction of EMF in that the current is hitting the positive plate first. So minus E2 minus this EMF will be negative. There is no EMF 1. I am considering only this loop. Now is equal to I2 R3. I2 R3. Now I2 is not following the direction, is opposite. So minus I2 R3. Then here this is following the direction plus I1 minus I2 R5. And again this is following the direction plus I1 minus I2 R4. This is your equation for the loop A, C, D, A. Okay. Now again if I want to apply this to the loop A, B, C, D, A. A, B, C, D, A, the bigger one. I'm taking this loop now. So in this loop, how many EMF? Only one, and that how the current is hitting the negative plate first, it is positive. EMF 1. Again I have considered the anti-clockwise direction as the positive direction. So EMF 1 is equal to I1 R1 is following the direction. I1 R1. This I1 is anti-clockwise. Now this is also anti-clockwise plus I1 minus I2 R5. Then following the direction plus I1 minus I2 R4. And then again following the direction plus I1 R2. This is the equation for this big loop A, B, C, D, A. Okay. So this way you will apply Kirchhoff's voltage law to the loop. This is the method. Just you have to remember, again I am repeating the points. Identify your direction, you just mark your direction, any direction as the positive direction. Mark the electric currents from any side. Means I have not considered anything that B is at higher potential or A is at higher potential. When you will solve the equations, finally suppose if you get the value of I1 as negative value, if you are getting a negative value, then it simply means that the direction of current you have marked in the circuit is from B to A, but actually the current in the circuit is flowing from A to B. Okay, means I want to just tell you that you just simply mark the current in your own way. I have started from here, then this like this. Okay, I don't know exactly whether the current is flowing from B to A. Is it true or not? I don't know exactly that, but I have simply marked the current. If my direction will be opposite, if suppose I have chosen the opposite direction, then ultimately in my answer, when I will solve the answer, I will get I1 as a negative value. Okay, it means that if suppose I get I1 equals to minus 5 ampere, it simply means that the current I1 is 5 ampere, but it is not flowing from B to A, it is actually flowing from A to B. And if suppose I get plus 5 ampere, then it means that it is flowing from B to A only. That means the direction that I have marked for I1 is my correct direction. Okay, it will not affect your solution. Means you have marked from B to A or A to B, it is not going to affect your solution. You will get the right solution, you will get right answer. Your magnitude will be okay. Only you will get minus or plus, that depends that you have marked the correct direction or incorrect direction. Right? Any doubt? Anybody want to ask something? Yes?
No, sir.
Is this okay? Okay,
Yes,
this is very important rule. Okay, yesterday I told you that in in those circuits, in complex circuits where it becomes difficult to identify that which resistors or which branches are in series combination and which are in parallel combination, in those cases you can easily use this Kirchhoff's voltage law. Okay, all right. Suppose if I give you an example, now depending on that where my battery is connected, suppose I connect my battery here this way. Suppose this is R, all the resistances are equal, suppose. Then you can easily identify that these two resistances are in series combination, and with their series combination this is connected in parallel, because if the current comes here, then current will divide in these two branches, but whatever current is reaching here, the same current will pass through this branch also. So it means that you can easily identify that these two resistances are in series combination, and with their series combination this is in parallel combination. But now if suppose I mark resistances this way also, this is R, and this is again R. Now it becomes difficult for you to identify that which of the two resistors are in series and which are in parallel. So in such type of cases, you can easily get the value. If suppose I ask you to find out the equivalent resistance of this circuit, then you can easily find out with the help of your Kirchhoff's voltage law. Okay. So that's what I was telling you, that by using Kirchhoff's laws, you can easily find out the resistance. What you have to do is simply you mark them A, B, C, D. You consider any closed loop, you identify the direction. Suppose I current is coming here, and suppose I1 goes to this branch, right? I2 goes to this, and I3 goes to this, and simply you can mark the currents. You simply mark the currents in all the branches and just apply the Kirchhoff's first rule and second rule to get the equations. Now you identify that how many variables you have. Suppose I1, you have I2. Suppose here your current comes is I4. Then here the current will be I2 plus I4. I2 plus I4. I'm simply just telling you. Here the current would be, this is I1 and I4 goes here, I1 minus I4, and here they again combine with each other. This is I1 minus I4 plus I4 cancel, so I1 plus I2 plus I3, and that is your I again. I was I1 plus I2 plus I3, and here this is your I1 minus I4, I2 plus I4, I3. When you will add them, you will get I1 plus I2 plus I3, which is equal to I. So this way you have marked the current values. Now how many variables you have? You have R. This R is your variable which you need to find. Other than that, you have I1, I2, I3, I4. You have 4 variables in the form of current. Now how many equations you need to solve them? To solve these 4 values of electric current, you need at least 4 equations. So what you will do, you will choose 4 closed loops. 1, 2, 3 and 4. You can choose like this also, 1 this way. Means you need a closed loop, it can be any loop. Okay? You can make several loops here. Suppose 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4, these are your required loops. But other than that, you can form other loops also. One loop can be like this, A, D, B, C, A. One more loop can be like this, C, D, B, A, C. Okay, you can choose any closed loop. Okay, so from there you choose 4 closed loops, get 4 equations, solve them and get the value of R. Okay, however this question can be solved in by other method also simply. but you try out once this question yourself, and suppose if you find problem, because what I was thinking that I will take the numericals at the last. When I will finish this chapter, third chapter, then I will discuss numericals with you, few numericals with you. Okay, so the next topic is potentiometer. Now we move on to potentiometer. Okay, potentiometer, the word meter refers to the measurement, any device that can measure something, we call that as meter, and potentio refers to the word potential. Okay, potential or voltage. So this is a device which is used to measure the potential difference between 2 points. Okay, just like your voltmeter. This is a device, potentiometer is a device which is used to measure the potential difference between any 2 points, right? Now we will discuss its construction, how it is made. What is the construction? Now what potentiometer is, we take a wire. I will tell you that which wire we take. We take a wire on a wooden plank. We take a Constantan or Maganin wire. Constantan or Maganin wire. Why we take Constantan or Maganin wire? The reason is their alpha value is very small. I think you remember that what was alpha? Alpha is the temperature coefficient of resistance. Temperature coefficient of resistance. It means that alpha is a small, means when the temperature of the wire increases, the value of resistance does not change by a large amount. Means there will be, if suppose alpha value will be high, then for a small increase in temperature, the resistance will increase by a large amount. We don't want that, because if the resistance will change due to temperature, if the change in resistance is large, then it will affect our observations, our experimental observations. So in order to remove that condition, we use the wire made up of Constantan or Maganin, because their alpha value is very small, right? So that the effect of temperature is not appreciable on the resistance, right? So we take a Constantan Maganin wire this way, and we tie it on a wooden plank with the help of these clips, right? Why we have tied on the wooden clamp? Because we have taken the wire equal to 10 meter length. 10 meter length. If we will have a 10 meter length wire, then it will be very long. If suppose we take a single length, if you keep the 10 meter long wire. So just to save the space, or means to make it compact, we just tie it like this, okay, in this way. And these are the copper strips. Copper strips, just to allow the current to easily pass through the strips, like this. So now, or sometimes what we do, that we don't, means generally what happens, that we don't place the copper strips, we take a single wire and it turns like this only, simply, okay. So like this, how many wires, the parts of wires will be there? It is 10. Each part is 1 meter long. We keep it this way. Now this wire made up of Constantan or Maganin, we connect it in this way. There is a ammeter, then it is connected to a key, then it is connected to a battery, and that is connected to a rheostat. This one, like this. This is ammeter, this is key, this is capital E, the cell driver battery, and this is rheostat. Driver battery is the battery whose current will flow through the wires or wire of the potentiometer. This is your potentiometer, this one. This is the board of potentiometer. So the current which will flow through the wire of the potentiometer is of the driver battery, right? Now this end is positive, this end is negative. You must be knowing that what is the use of ammeter. It is to measure the current. Then key, just to switch on or switch off the circuit. Then rheostat, it is used to control the amount of current flowing through the circuit. Means with the help of rheostat you can change the magnitude of current passing through the circuit. Okay. Now the end which is connected to the positive terminal of the driver battery, we will consider that end as A, and the other end will be considered as B. There is a scale, meter scale attached here this way. A meter scale is attached like this. Okay, 1 meter long scale is attached here, this side. Now it will be having readings on both the sides. Okay, one side it will be 0 to 100 centimeter, and from on the other side the 0 will be this side and 100 centimeter will be this side. So it have a scale, you have a meter scale on which you have the graduations in both the directions. Now which direction you will choose, which scale you will choose, the upper one or the lower one? It depends that if suppose this end is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, then this is your 0 end, and hence this end is your 10 meter end. 10 meter end. This is your 10 meter end. If this end is connected to the positive terminal, then this you will take this as 0 end and this as 10 meter end. So 0, upper scale 0 is here, so you will take the upper scale. Okay. In case your B terminal, this end is connected to the positive and this end is connected to the negative, then this will become your 0 end. Okay, and then this will become your 10 meter end. So you will choose the lower scale. Okay, because you are coming this way, means you are starting from here. Okay, 0, then you will just a minute. Okay, simply it is like this. Just a minute, let me repeat once again. Actually I made something wrong here, some mistake I committed here. That what is the condition, that suppose your 0 end is this one, so your 0 is starting. Whenever you will move on this wire here, because this is your 0 end, this is 10 meter end, you will move on this wire, then you will move this direction, in this direction. So that direction's distance will be measured with the upper scale, 0 to 100 centimeter. Then when you move on this wire, then you will be moving like this, and then this, in this direction. Any length on this wire will be measured with this one. Okay, then and now you are moving this way, so any length on this wire will be measured with the help of the upper scale. Then next one, lower scale. It depends on the direction, which direction you are following. If suppose you have connected this end to the positive terminal, then this is your 0 end, then you are moving this way, like this. So you will move this way, this will be measured with the upper scale. Next will be measured with the lower scale. Next with the upper scale. This will be, in that case, if this is connected to positive terminal, then this wire, the length on this wire will be measured with the lower. Okay? Opposite to the previous one. Then this length will be measured in this direction, so upper scale. This length, this direction, lower scale. So it is in this way. Which end is connected to your positive terminal of the battery? That end will be considered as the 0 end. Okay. So this is the circuit of potentiometer. This is the construction of potentiometer part. Okay. Okay. Now the working principle. Remember that this battery is called as the driver battery. Driver battery, or sometimes is also called as auxiliary battery. Driver battery or auxiliary battery. Okay. Now the working principle. We know know that potential drop across any conductor, the potential drop across any conductor is equal to IR by Ohm's law. The potential drop across any conductor, in case it is the condition is not very much affected by the change in temperature and the physical conditions, change in temperature and the pressure. So pressure is not changing and we have taken the constant in manganese wire, due to which the effect of temperature is very low. So therefore you can use Ohm's law in this condition. V is equal to IR. Then I, you can replace R by rho L upon A, where L is length of the wire and A is cross sectional area of the wire. So now this implies V is equal to I rho upon A into L. You can say like this. Now suppose I give you a condition that uniform current, suppose a uniform current passes through the wire, uniform current, with the help of rheostat we are passing a uniform current, then can you say that this I is a constant? Now this rho, resistivity, specific resistance, it is the property of material, so it is again a constant value. Uniform current passing through a wire of uniform cross section. Suppose this condition is given to you, uniform current passing through a wire of uniform cross section. So this A is again, it becomes constant. So this complete term becomes a constant and you can see that V is proportional to L. The potential drop across the wire. Okay. What the condition is, when a uniform current, now listen to my statement properly, when a uniform current is made to pass through a wire of uniform cross sectional area, then the potential drop across the wire is directly proportional to the length of the wire. Okay, the potential drop is directly proportional to the length of the wire. So with the help of this length, by measuring the length of the wire, you can measure the potential drop through any particular section, right? This is your working principle. Again repeating, if uniform current is made to pass through a wire of uniform cross-sectional area, then the potential drop across the wire is directly proportional to the length of the wire. This is the working principle. Now there is one term which is very important, and that is potential gradient. Potential gradient, and denoted by small k. This potential gradient is potential drop per unit length of the wire. Potential drop per unit length. How much potential drops in unit length of the wire? That is your value of potential gradient. Now potential gradient is directly related to the least count of the meter. Least count means how much a small current this potentiometer can measure. If your K will be large, then sensitivity, it is called as the sensitivity of the meter. High K means sensitivity is just opposite, lower K. The value of K is low, sensitivity is high. If the value of K for a potentiometer is low, is a small, then the sensitivity will be high. I will simply explain this term, that K is that this potential gradient is drop per unit length. Suppose if your length is small, suppose in case of a wire, suppose the potential drop between A and B is 5 volt, okay, and it drops through a distance of suppose 1 centimeter. Just giving you an example. If suppose that a drop of 5 volt is there between A and B, okay, through and the gap between A and B is 1 centimeter. It means that there is a potential drop of 5 volt through on a length of 1 centimeter. Now we are using a meter scale, and least count of this meter scale is 1 millimeter. That means 1 upon 10 centimeter, right? So it means that if this is your condition, that how much minimum drop you can measure here. For 1 centimeter, if the drop is 5 volt and you can measure only up to 1/10th of the centimeter, so you can minimum measure 0.5 volt potential difference between any 2 points on the given potentiometer, if this condition is there. If your potential drop is 5 volt in between A and B. Now suppose I do it this way, I change the length of A and B. Suppose again the 5 volt, I am keeping 5 volt again, and I just increased this length to 200 centimeter. Now what is happening? That what is happening? That now the drop of 5 volt is taking place on a length of 100 centimeter. Now how much minimum length you can measure? You can measure up to 1 millimeter. So how much minimum potential drop you can measure with the help of this potentiometer? It is 5 upon 100, means 0.05 volt. So this potentiometer, the first one, cannot measure a drop less than 0.5 volt. But this can measure up to 0.05 volt also. So you can say that this potentiometer is more sensitive as compared to this one. So what you have done here, you have increased the length. L is increased. So if you increase L, what will happen to K? K will decrease, and what is happening to sensitivity? It is increasing. Okay? Right? So this is your I will write simply here, sensitivity is inversely proportional to K, and K is equal to V upon L. That means K is directly proportional to V and inversely proportional to L. Okay. One thing you can also do, that you can reduce if you don't want to change the length, suppose you want to keep it 1 centimeter only, then you will have to reduce the potential drop. Suppose it becomes 2.5. Now you can measure up to 0.25 volt. So this 0.25, by decreasing the drop on the wire, you increased the sensitivity. Before you can only measure up to 0.5, now you are able to measure up to 0.25 also, half of that. So this is also a way, means what you need for increasing the sensitivity, you need to reduce the value of K. Now how you can reduce the value of K? Either you decrease the value of V or you increase the value of L. Either you decrease the value of V or increase the value of L. Now decreasing V is not a practical option. You cannot do that because your battery you cannot change the battery. That V value is not a practical option. So what we do, we increase the value of L, and that is why we have used a 10 meter long wire, because so that we can increase the value of L, so that we can increase the value of L and hence decrease the value of K and hence increase the sensitivity of the potentiometer. Okay, this is your related to potential gradient. Now if you draw the graph, for V and L, this V is potential drop. Okay, this V is potential drop. This K value is constant, so you can write V is equal to KL or V is proportional to L. That was your principle of working of the potentiometer. So according to the working principle of the potentiometer, the potential drop is directly proportional to length. So your graph must be a straight line. Remember that this is not your potential versus L. This is not your potential versus L. This is actually potential drop versus L. This is potential drop versus length graph, which is a straight line with positive slope. Okay. Okay, now we move on to the next section. One thing I want to tell you here that I have observed from last many years that every time you get at least one question from this potentiometer section, they are giving, means whenever if you will find the weightage, the percentage, the marks, if you will look at the question papers of previous years and you look at the questions from this chapter, then you find that they are mostly asking questions from this second section, means that we started from yesterday, the Kirchhoff's laws, and now means from past few years they are asking more questions from this section, the potentiometer section. Okay, so you need to go through it, potentiometer, very nicely. You must understand that how it is working, what is the, means you must know each and every minute thing about the potentiometer, otherwise you will get confused. Okay, then there is another topic which will come after this, that is meter bridge. They are asking questions from meter bridge and potentiometer, means from electrical measurement devices. They are asking generally questions now from these two sections. Okay. Now next is applications. Applications of potentiometer. Now suppose if I have a this is my A, suppose this is my B. So I'm not making all the 10 wires, you simply understand that they are 10 in number, simply understand that. Now I will make the connections, a meter, a key, a driver battery and a rheostat, and this end is connected to the rheostat. This is my driver battery, plus minus, this is key K and this is rheostat. Okay, my first application is to compare EMF of two primary cells. With the help of this potentiometer, you can compare the EMF of two primary cells, unknown. Suppose you are given two unknown cells and you want to compare that which cell is having more EMF and which cell is having less EMF. So you can do that with the help of this potentiometer. Now what is the process? We make the connection of the potentiometer. This is the connection of the potentiometer. Now you at the end A, you connect your cell, first cell and the second cell in such a way that all the positive terminals are connected at the same point A. Positive of given cells, their EMF you want to compare, their EMF, their positive and the positive of the driver battery. They all the positives are connected at the same point, at the point A. Okay, then we take a two-way switch, and this two-way switch is connected with a galvanometer, which is connected with a resistance box, which is then connected with the jockey, and that jockey is to be touched at the wire. This is a two-way key. Suppose if I close this key, then the current of first cell would be flowing through this circuit. Okay, and if I connect these two terminals, if I remove this and connect these two, then the current of second cell will start flowing through the circuit, this circuit. Okay, now how this circuit is means how the current is flowing. Suppose I connected this one, so my current is flowing like this way, it is going this way, and then is coming like this, and then again this one. I think you can understand that what is the circuit, where is the closed loop. This one, again I am repeating like this, then it goes this way and then comes like this. Okay, we have already the circuit for the driver battery. It is simple like this. Okay, this is the circuit of the driver battery. Now, what is the process? The process is we switch on the current, we switch on this key, right? And we close this one, and we start touching the jockey at different points on the wire. Now, what happens at a particular point? You will get you will find out by touching jockey at different points on the wire. You will find out the point of zero deflection in the galvanometer. The point of zero deflection in the galvanometer. Okay. Now, how you get the point of zero deflection? That I will explain in short here. What happens is, suppose this is your point A and this is your point B, right? You connected it with a driver battery. Just try to understand that why you get a zero deflection point. Suppose the battery has an EMF of suppose 6 volt, then this end is connected to the positive terminal, so it can be considered as the point at 6 volt potential, and this point at 0 volt potential. The negative terminal can be considered as 0, and hence the potential drop across AB is 6 volt. The PD across AB is 6 volt. Now you connected another cell and you connected with the jockey, this one, this part. Okay. Now this is suppose your 2 volt battery. This is a cell with EMF 2 volt. Now what will happen? This is your this end according to this battery will be 2 volt potential, and the jockey is 0 volt potential. Means wherever you will touch, that will apply a potential drop of 2 volt. Right? Now what happens? You suppose look at this wire, this upper, for the upper section. If this is 0, then at the center you will have a 3 volt point, right? So the potential drop here is 3 volt. Now you must have a point in between here where your potential must be, this is 6 to 3, so it should be 4.5, and the drop is how much? It is 1.5 volt. The drop from here to here is 1.5 volt. Now similarly you will get somewhere a point where the potential must be, this is 6, this is 0, at the center it will be 3. There should be a point where the potential will be 4 volt. Correct? The potential is 4 and therefore the drop is 2 volt. Correct? So if the drop is 2 volt, then when you will touch the jockey at this point, how much is the potential drop due to this cell? It is 2 volt. Correct? It means that now your this end is at a drop of 2 volt. Okay? Your this end, according to this wire, the current flowing through this wire is of the driver battery. This is 6 volt, this is 4 volt, and your drop here from this point to this point is 2 volt. Now when you touch the jockey here, your this end comes at 2 volt. Now what is the potential of this end? A. This is 2 volt, and what is the potential of this jockey point? It is also 2 volt. What is the difference? 0, and therefore the current of this cell will not flow through the circuit. This cell current will not flow through the circuit. And if you will connect a galvanometer here, then how much deflection that galvanometer will show? It is 0. Okay, so what you can find, what you have to do is you are finding the drop of the potential drop of this battery on this wire, and comparing with that you are finding the EMF of this cell. Okay, so since this is the method, so similarly here, suppose you touch the jockey at different points with EMF 1 and you get at this point. Let us suppose that the distance of this point from 0 end is L1. Suppose the distance of this point from 0 end is L1, then how much is, what is your EMF 1? This is equal to KL1, because at this point when no current is flowing through the circuit, the terminal potential difference becomes the EMF. When no current is flowing through the circuit, your terminal potential difference V is equal to A minus IR. If I is 0, then V becomes equal to E. Since no current is flowing through this circuit, so now this cell's V is equal to its EMF. And now how you measure V? We already discussed, equals to KL, just in the working principle. So by here in this condition, when no current is flowing, this V becomes equal to E1. And so E1 is equal to K times L1. What is K? K is the potential gradient of the wire. Okay. Now what you do? You remove this cell and now you connect this cell here. And again you try to find out the null point. Null point means where you are getting zero deflection. Suppose with second cell you get the null point at L2. Then again your E2 will be equal to KL2. Now you take the ratio, so E1 upon E2, K and K will cancel, L1 upon L2. Now L1, L2 you have measured with the help of scale. यहाँ पे scale था, आपने scale से उसको measure कर लिया L1, L2. So you know this. Suppose, so you know that you have this ratio, so it means simply you can find out the ratio of E1 and E2. The EMF of first cell and the second cell, their ratio it can be found. If this ratio is more than 1, then EMF of first cell is more than EMF of second cell. If this is less than 1, then first cell EMF is less than second cell. Moreover, if you have a standard cell, suppose you know one cell's EMF, then you can find other cells also. Means suppose you are given a single cell and they ask you to find out the EMF of this cell. You take another cell whose EMF you know. Suppose you are taking a dry cell whose EMF is suppose 3 volt. Then you connect this is known and this is unknown. With this same method you find the ratio and then keep the value of EMF 2 here and find the value of EMF 1. Okay, this way you can find out, you can compare the EMF of two cells, and if you have one of the given cells as the standard cell, then you can find out the value of EMF also. This is your first application. Second application I will discuss with you tomorrow.